Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we drink fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah, and we are here for a special bonus episode where we are going to be recapping season 6. We have been talking, and we feel like we kind of let episodes bleed one into another. And I think for this end of season 6 and rolling into season 7, we're going to try to self-contain each movie, moving our slept on it segment to the episode before, and just reworking some stuff.
Still all the same segments, just kind of reworking it to get a little better separation so that viewers that are interested in a particular movie kind of get all that in one episode as opposed to kind of always bridging across multiple ones. And to kind of kick that off, we are going to wrap up season 6 in this episode as opposed to having it kick off in the beginning of season 7.
So we are going to start by our last episode was Hidden Figures. So we are going to start picking up this episode with our Slept On It segment for Hidden Figures, where we are going to go back and revisit the last movie that we saw with starting with Does Your Rating Change After Sleeping On It? You rated it a 4.1 and I rated it a 6.8.
No, I think that sounds about right. It was, nothing too crazy. Didn't really stick with me. Not very quotable. Just kind of seemed fine.
Yes, I'm going to drop mine down to a 5.8, drop it back a whole point. I do still feel like the acting was really good, and it was like such an important story to tell. Although I'll get into fact snacks.
A lot of it was also
we're gonna dip our toes in that in just a second. But and like you said, it's not super quotable. Like, it's an important story. Like, I'm glad to have seen it. But I think just in the grand scheme of what we are trying to do here on this podcast, it shouldn't be much higher than that. So I will bump mine back a little bit. So now, are you ready for some fact snacks?
Always.
Fact snacks. Okay, so I didn't go too crazy on this because most of the behind the scenes stuff that I normally look for with these movies was focused on the book, which is really what we all want to know. There wasn't a lot of like actors or production information that I could find. So I'll just share some information about the similarities between the book and the movie. So first of all, the book covers a 30-year period from the end of World War II into the early 70s, whereas the movie only focuses on a few years in the 60s. So obviously anybody who has read any book and then had it turned into a movie knows that you're not going to get the full story with
you're going to cut out a whole lot, and what's left is going to be kind of
shuffled. So and this was a lot of this is from a more of like a op-ed piece, and this person believes they did a decent job with what they had, and they knew that like you kind of have to shift some stuff if you're trying to tell a compelling story, so you kind of have to move a couple of things around. But for this part of the story they told, he feels like they did a semi-decent job compared to the book. One of the major scenes, they said most of the scenes were based in some sort of fact, but the one that was the most fictionalized was the scene where Kevin Costner's character rips the bathroom sign down. His character was completely made up at all. And then
I'd say that'd be kind of part of that'd kind of be the most made up thing, is that his characters didn't exist. It was a combination of a couple.
And he was this like heroic white man character, and that was not something that happened in real life, but something kind of similar happened, but it was one of the women that is featured. So the original book features several women, and the movie just pulled out 3. So a woman who was not featured in the book, I apologize, I did not write her name down, but
a woman who's not featured in the movie, but was in the book.
The woman that was in the book, but not in the movie. I apologize. She, in real life, there was a segregation sign in the cafeteria. So she kept stealing that, and then somebody who worked there would like put it back. And so her family was like really concerned she was going to get fired or something, but it was not some like heroic scene where it's like, I'm going to end this. Like, it was just like this woman
ending
was
racism, one sign. Yeah.
So that was the most fictionalized story from the movie. Some other things, Octavia Spencer's character, Dorothy Vaughan, her main struggle was like trying to be promoted and her constant friction with Kirsten Dunst's character. So Dorothy Vaughan in real life, shortly after she was hired, she was promoted. So it was not this like long show. She worked there, she earned her time, and they saw she had potential and moved her up. It was no big like combative thing. Kirsten Dunst's character was also not really a character in the real life, or a person in the real life, who was like a white woman who was her direct opposition. Like, that was not really a thing. And most of this also happened like 10 years before the movie took place. So that was, I mean, I just kept reading stories over and over again. And I was like, wow, we don't need to share all of this. But it was like, this happened a little bit beforehand, or this kind of happened a little bit later. But one story I did read that I will also share, and then we can move on from this, was something that they wish they had that had been kept in the movie, is that Janelle Monáe's character, the younger one of the three, I forget what her name is. She had in real life, she had a 13-year-old son who was participating in a like soapbox derby where you build your car and race it or whatever. And she apparently like helped him in real life, like to build that. Whereas like most little boys at the time were having their dads do it.
Right.
And he ended up winning. And they were like, I feel like that would have told a lot. Cause he, like a reporter or somebody asked him like, oh, like, how do you feel about winning? He's like, it was great. Like my mom helped me. Like I want to be an engineer like my mom. And like, that was something that was so unique to that time. And like, not a lot of people said that. So they were kind of like, I feel like that would have told a lot of story as well.
Which is kind of also annoys me more that they really focused on like making up characters to make up, some altercations that it seemed forced in that aspect when it's not like there wasn't anything good to tell there. It's like they wanted to have a narrative almost.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah. So I could have read the whole book and given you play by plays, but generally most of the things had some bits and pieces rooted in stuff. But again, it's a book or based on a book that covers a broader span of time. So we're just covering what we can and trying to tell a good story, but I am glad we watched it. And with that, I am ready to move on to something new.
Yeah.
Are you?
Sure am.
So,
do you want to recap our...
Yes. So we have finished all of the reviews of all of our season 6 movies. So to finish off this bonus episode, we are going to go back and just talk a little bit about the movies that we watched in season 6, pick our favorites, pick our least favorites before we fully move on to season 7. So do you want to review the list of movies?
Yes. This season we watched Star Trek, The Right Stuff, Spaceballs, Apollo 13, Armageddon, Lost in Space, Interstellar, The Martian, and wrapped it up with Hidden Figures.
Reading the list now in hindsight, it is a little bit of a chaotic list. Technically, they are all set in space in some capacity.
Right. There's the theme was space, not like a particular like the space race or sci-fi or something like that. It very much was like space. So you span a whole bunch of things of like historical, future, complete sci-fi. Practically fantasy. And
I feel like that kind of almost makes it hard to like pick favorites and stuff because it is a lot of stuff all wrapped into one. But now that we have reviewed our list, which one is your favorite of?
It's kind of a tough one. I think my favorite, if I had to pick one, would be Armageddon. I just love how much of like a dumb action movie that is, but how still like almost makes me cry at the end. It's so quotable. Like I could rewatch it so many times. It's not too terribly long. It is pretty long, but it's just always has a place in my heart that I think that even though that's one of the ones that I had definitely seen before, I think Armageddon is it for me.
Yes, I do look forward to watching that again sometime soon. Yes, this definitely is a very tough list. I mean, personally, Spaceballs is my favorite because I've loved it for almost 30 years, but also, like, The Martian still stands up 10 years later. Like, every time we watch it, I'm just like, God, I love this movie. But I know this is like me picking 7 different answers. My favorite is Spaceballs because I just love that movie. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I think my favorite movie that I hadn't seen before this was probably Armageddon.
Yeah, mine would probably be The Right Stuff just because it was just really interesting seeing the whole, like, you don't really consider, or at least our generation doesn't really consider, like, the clear linear pattern from like trying to have the fastest plane to like launching to outer space. It very much seems like 2 very separate eras. That to kind of see that bridge there and that tell that storyline and kind of have like the crossover throughout that was really, really cool. It is a very long movie, full of a whole lot of information. It's not just a simple, sit down and get back and watch a movie type thing. But that one is really good. I think of all the ones. I mean, I had seen a good chunk of these before. I think that's
I'd seen more of these than I thought I did going into them. All right. So now what is your least favorite movie?
That one's tough. There's a couple I didn't really like.
I know.
Didn't particularly love Star Trek. We're just not really big Star Trek fans. And I prefer the newer ones that are a bit more action packed as opposed to the old traditional stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I think of my least favorite of these though would probably be Lost in Space.
Yeah, you really didn't like that movie, and it was not great. I think. I mean, it does have again some like nostalgic ties for me, but I think my least favorite was Star Trek. Like it was just really slow and boring, and I mean, again, we watched the 2009 version after that, and it was like, wow, this is such a better movie.
Yeah.
So I think that one was like my least favorite of like, oh my God, I have to sit here. Like I remember thinking like, we're still watching this movie. So that one is definitely my least favorite from this list.
Yeah, I think with Lost in Space, it did grow on me a little bit, knowing that it was somewhat of like a reboot of an actual like long-standing series that I did not know going into it, but still was not that great.
Yeah. All right, and then which one do you think was the most culturally significant, or like had the biggest impact on pop culture?
I think it has to be Apollo 13.
Yeah.
You know, you look at these and it's hard to make a case for any other ones. I mean, The Right Stuff was really cool, showing all that. Star Trek, you know, there's a huge, big cultural movement behind that. But I think,
but I'm talking about like specifically pop culture.
I still think Apollo 13.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Houston, we have a problem. Like I think of all that.
Yeah, it's tough because like you said, Star Trek obviously is continuing on and on still. Apollo 13, Houston, we've got a problem, all that stuff. Spaceballs is literally a result of pop culture. So like that has so much in there too. I also feel like Armageddon might have had a lot of, I didn't look this up, but I think it had like 4 references to either space or sci-fi from what we have watched on this season that we're like, ding, this one, ding. So like that one had a lot of other stuff in it, but
yeah, the only other one that I think could have possibly beaten Apollo 13 for being most culturally significant is if we had included Star Wars: A New Hope in there, just because that one is obviously still a huge thing.
There is no right or wrong answer, just something for you to think about. Oh, I do have one last question about season 6. Who was your favorite guest host of season 6?
That's a tough one. I think Kaylin.
I think it has to be Kaylin.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that out.
The worst one. When you think about it.
That is very true. She's both our best and worst guest hosts. So yes, season 6 was fun because we did have our first guest appearance on the pod. Hopefully we will do more of that in the future and have a slightly better setup for that whenever that time comes. But
yeah, and we'll try to get this next season out in a more timely fashion. This was the season that went on and on and on. And I think we're going to get back into the groove of being more diligent about like weekly. Because
I miss it. Like when we don't do it regularly, like it is hard. And this next season is going to be hard because these movies are all really long. But like I always look forward like, oh, this is our time to like hang out and watch movies and like talk about them. It's always so fun for us. But life has been crazy. But hopefully season 7 will take less than 11 months to get out from recording to.
It also gives better like continuity for like, you know, slept on it and just.
Definitely. That was tough.
Seeing connections between movie to movie. So I'm excited to cook into this next season. So
so stay tuned. Season 7 should not be too much farther behind this episode, but thank you so much for watching today. If you are listening, if you could rate and review Culture Night wherever you are getting your podcasts. If you are watching on YouTube, if you could subscribe to our channel so you get notified when we post new videos, and like this video and leave a comment about what your favorite of these movies was, and stick around because we'll be back soon with season 7.
Cheers.
Bye.